Hello everybody, and welcome back to the channel. I hope your week's been good, not too terribly rough. A couple of things before we get started, as they'll be rather important to help you get an idea on how I upload my videos from here on out. So I'm structuring my videos in a way that you get a first impression video, then an updated opinion video at the midpoint, then an overall review at the end. So you have a full scope of how I feel about the game. This means I'll be eating my words a lot, but proving myself wrong could be pretty fun. Also, yes, I'll be covering the DS ports of the Megami Tensei series. I just have to make a decision as to whether or not I'll be recording my gameplay direct off my 3DS, making ROM dumps and running them off of Citra, or if I send in my DS to get modded for capture software. Short news blips out of the way, let's get started. So as you probably could ascertain from the gameplay footage, this first impressions video will be on Persona 3. I know, real original of me, but seeing as how this is the first game I played in the series, I thought it would be fitting to make my first impressions video on Persona 3. First impressions is a funny way to go about describing this video because I had played it before, but it's been so long that I could aptly call it that, a first impressions video. It's more like I'm remembering how the game plays as I play the game for you. So as a whole, the game in the first few hours does a good job at setting you up to learn the story. Lots of mystery setting seeds of who is this, and why does the world look like this, and why is this happening to keep you enthralled for several hours of gameplay. Some creepy little shit appears in your bedroom twice in a silent, uncomfortable manner, shattering any form of privacy and comfort you might have had in your dorm. Wants to tell you that you are contractually obligated to own up to your actions, and wants to tell you that Tartarus is going to be fucked the next night of a full moon. Your dorm mates end up being a paramilitary group of high schoolers whose sole mission is to use their supernatural abilities called persona to exterminate other supernatural entities called shadows, which are the root cause of a disease called apathy syndrome, which is making people shells of their former selves. That's all fine, well and good, but they're only visible during the dark hour, a special 25th hour of the day only accessible to certain people. During this time, the city morphs, everything gets a green tint, coffins line the streets and litter each bedroom, and these coffins contain the sleeping citizens of the city. These shadows feed on stray people who appear during the dark hour outside of their coffins. The game then goes on to explain that the origin point for these creatures is Gekkoukan High, where most of the game takes place. And you guessed it, during the dark hour, your school also twists and morphs, becoming Tartarus, one of my only points of contention in this game. But we'll cover that shortly. The first 15 floors are a tutorial of sorts, and once you reach the boss floor, that's it for a while. You're going through the social simulation portion of the game for at least a few hours before the boss finally shows up. Well, it feels like a few hours at least. It's an in-game week and maybe 2 hours of triggering cutscenes during Golden Week for story or to develop another mechanic of the game, social links. This is where a good chunk of the story is going to make itself known. To get bonuses on Persona Fusion or even be able to fuse certain personas, you have to deepen your friendship with various NPCs, each belonging to a different major arcana of the tarot. As a short little side note, yes, minor arcana do show up, but only at the end of battles to give you things such as bonus weapons, money, or experience. Anyway, Igor, a mysterious old man, handles all the persona fusions, calling it an order from an otherwise unknown master, and makes brief mention of your contractual obligation. As I mentioned before in this video, and in my introduction video, there are points of contention in this game so far. Only 2 though, and one friction point is just easily fixed. First off, the pure monotony that is the first 15 floors of Tartarus. Each environment is designed with the exact same assets. I know it's typical of a dungeon crawler, but it would be nice to look at something different when you're grinding. It's not completely detrimental when playing, but can really draw on your attention span and make the game a bit of a slog after a little while. And I know I drove this point home in my introduction video, but I'm going to say it again here. The battle theme. The battle theme is irritating. There's no air of urgency when going through a battle, just frustration. And when that's the theme that plays for every battle, even mid-bosses, it can be grating on the nerves. I end up putting headphones on and listening to other music because I just don't want to hear that theme again. I don't have much of a problem with the rest of the soundtrack. Actually, I find it really pleasant. I'll listen to it on car rides home after work. No, not just this soundtrack, but it's a good example. I'll listen to it while I'm doing minor chores around the house. I just cannot stand this battle theme. But they're really not major detriments to the gameplay itself. It doesn't really hurt. Actually, the gameplay functions like really any other Persona game or Megami Tensei after Persona 2. You get your press turns, you get to control the other characters in battle, or you can tell them to act on their own, which I don't recommend. You can even splinter your group off and tell them to go fight their own battles while you solo the floor. It doesn't matter what you do with your characters, you have more control. And if my only 2 points of contention are the monotonous floors and the repetitive battle music, I really don't think that's too horrible. I just really needed an example of points that frustrated me in the series itself, to show that while the series is phenomenal, there are flaws. So to sum up, the first few hours of Persona do a really good job of setting the player up for the rest of the game. Definitely hooked me to play the rest, and hopefully I'll have a midpoint video out here in the next couple of weeks. If not, you're probably going to get a few more first impression videos to kind of fill the gap. Because I play a lot of games simultaneously, that way I don't lose interest in one or the other. That being said, I know this is kind of a short video. It really is a short video, but I'm going to go ahead and wrap it here. So if you made it to the end of the video, thank you. I hope you enjoyed this first impressions video. If you did, leave a like for me. If not, give me that painful thumbs down. And leave a comment on what I need to do better. Social media is set up and will be in the description below, so please go ahead and visit my Facebook and Twitter. I don't post as much as I should, but I'll get in there and try. And once I hit 100 subs on here and Twitch, I'll go ahead and set up a Discord server where you guys can direct chat. You all enjoy yourselves, and I'll see you next week.